When I found out I was pregnant, visions of a happy future filled my mind. A loving husband and adorable kids. I thought we would build a wonderful family and live happily ever after. Little did I know, a harsh reality awaited me. This is the story of my battle with my controlling husband. My name is Patricia, and I'm 30 years old. My husband's name is Robert. He's a 34-year-old office worker. We've been married for almost 2 years. Robert has a bit of a controlling streak, probably because he's older. He sets all the house rules. When we got married, he said he wanted me to be a homemaker, and I agreed. Our spending money has decreased since we got married, but I'm thankful he's providing for me. I've always been indecisive, so Robert's efficiency seemed perfect for me. I thought a little bit of control was a good thing. Then one day, I felt unusually sick. Feeling feverish and sluggish, I was in no shape to do housework. So I turned to Robert and said, "Sorry, I'm not feeling well today." He groggily sat up and asked, "Is it a cold?" "I don't think so, but I'm too weak to get up. Can you grab something quick for breakfast?" "Alright, get some rest today. I have to go to work, but call your mom or dad if you need anything." So, no call to him then. A bit lonely, but he's swamped at work. His advice to call my parents was probably his way of caring. My in-laws live nearby and have always been supportive. It's not like I couldn't move, I just felt awful. So I decided to take the day off, but my symptoms didn't go away. Normally a day in bed would fix me up, but I wasn't getting better. Even Robert started to worry. "Patricia, maybe you should go to the doctor." "Right? I'll go tomorrow." The next day, I visited a local hospital. The test results came back. "You're pregnant." "What?" I was stunned by the news. Pregnant? Me? I'm going to be a mom? Overwhelmed by joy and anxiety, I was at a loss for words. I decided to go home and wait for Robert to return. Hours later, I told him the news. "Guess what, Robert? I'm pregnant." "You're what?" Caught off guard, he looked stunned. "But you've been feeling sick, right? You sure it's not some kind of illness?" "No, the doctor said my symptoms were morning sickness." "Morning sickness?" As I explained, Robert furrowed his brows. Then he said something totally insensitive. "So, you're saying this isn't an illness? You were just being spoiled?" "Spoiled? That's not how I see it." "But morning sickness isn't an illness. You've been neglecting housework and lying in bed for a week. Isn't that spoiled behavior?" "Look, I may not be technically sick, but I feel awful. I'm feverish and just drained." "You could say anything. Besides, every woman who becomes a mom goes through morning sickness. Stop making a big deal." "Are you serious?" The words her husband returned were completely unexpected. She had thought he would be thrilled about her pregnancy. "Anyway, from tomorrow, take care of the house, as usual." "But I've been nauseous since last night." "I don't care! It's just morning sickness. Stop using it as an excuse." No matter what I said, my husband wasn't listening and instead berated me. Morning sickness isn't a disease, I knew. But carrying a new life is a burden not to be taken lightly. Most men might not understand the difficulty of pregnancy, but the harsh words from my husband were almost unbearable. I tried my best to manage the housework the next day, but my body was sluggish and nausea hit me even when I was doing nothing. Cooking meals was the hardest part. The smell of rice cooking was unbearable. I can't take it anymore. Frequent dashes to the bathroom disrupted my cooking routine. Consequently, the quality and efficiency of my meals suffered. No matter how much I tried to explain, my husband wouldn't listen. On the contrary, when I was coughing in the toilet, he shouted from behind, "If I'm late for work because you're dragging, you better take responsibility." "I'm sorry, but the smell of food is making me nauseous." "I don't care! I'm not listening to your excuses." "Excuses? I didn't mean to..." "What if your slowness makes me late for work? Can you take responsibility for that?" My husband just keeps yelling, completely disregarding how I feel. Physically and emotionally, I'm feeling cornered. Somehow, I managed to finish preparing breakfast, fighting off nausea. Despite this, my husband doesn't touch his breakfast. Great! Now there's no time for breakfast because you were so slow! Get it together! With that, he slams the door behind him. Why is this happening? I haven't done anything wrong. Why do I have to be treated so horribly when I'm just trying to nurture our child inside me? Frustration and emptiness mix, and I can't stop the tears. This goes on for about 2 weeks. One day, after confirming my husband has left for work, I lie down. Today, my nausea is worse than ever. I need to eat something for the sake of our baby, but even drinking water makes me throw up. I must have dozed off because when I wake up, it's already noon. I need to eat and take care of the house. Just then, my phone rings. It's my husband. With a sinking feeling, I hesitantly answer. Hello? You took too long to answer! You weren't sleeping, were you? I'm sorry, I wasn't feeling well this morning. I was about to start on the housework. He abruptly hangs up. Then a text from him arrives. Almost yelled at work, so I hung up. Patricia, are you mocking me? I feel a bottomless fear reading his furious words. My hands tremble as I hold the phone. Please don't be mad. I'll do better. I'm done with you. The texts stop. What should I do? I need to reply, but apologizing will only make him angrier. So what can I do? Before I can decide, another text from him arrives. The moment I read it, I drop my phone in shock. If you can't even handle housework, abort the child. Abort our child? Everything goes dark. My emotions are a mess. My breathing is erratic, my heart pounding. We were blessed with 2 children. I thought we'd be happy as a family. But my husband doesn't even try to understand my condition. He even denies me and our unborn child. I can't let this go. I can't stay silent after being told something like this. I pick up my phone from the floor and text him. Understood. I pack my bags, explain the situation to my parents, and ask them to pick me up. After I leave, multiple texts from my husband arrive. Where are you? If you can go out, you must have been faking it. Come back now, or I'll divorce you. Does this man know anything other than attacking or threatening? By this point, my love for my husband had completely cooled off. When he even called my parents' house, I told him I have no intention of coming back, and blocked his number. Patricia, are you sure about this? You'll be giving birth alone, you know. My mom asks, concerned for her daughter. But my mind is already made up. It's okay. I'll protect this child. My mom gives me a complicated look, but says, we'll support you in any way we can. A few days later, having cut off all communication, my husband shows up at my parents' house, bringing his own parents, father-in-law and mother-in-law. Patricia, what are you thinking? Stop lazing around at your parents and come home now. As soon as he sees me, my husband starts yelling. Even father-in-law and mother-in-law join in, blaming me. How could you abandon your duties as a wife and dump everything on our son? Are you even a homemaker? We never thought Patricia would be like this. Were you just pretending all this time? We don't need a lazy wife in this family. Abandon my duties? Dump everything on him? This is ridiculous. I've done no such thing. I take a deep breath and give them a piece of my mind. Enough is enough! When did I ever dump anything on Robert? Abandon my duties? I've been doing everything I can while dealing with morning sickness. Why do I have to hear this? Shut up! How dare you talk back to the head of the household? That's what I've always hated about you. I snap back at my husband. Once I start, I can't stop. When I'm suffering from morning sickness, you tell me to hurry up and make breakfast. Stop slacking off on housework. I'm not your servant. Do you even know how hard morning sickness is? Learn about a pregnant woman's body, you incompetent fool! What kind of language is that to your husband? That's just it. You're nothing but a controlling husband who doesn't understand people's feelings. And I was stupid to mistake that for reliability. Who do you think provides for you? Then I don't need such a life. What? Father-in-law and mother-in-law, who had been listening to our argument, hesitantly asked me, Weren't you just dumping all the housework on our son? Doing nothing but lazing around every day? Exactly. Using pregnancy as an excuse to make our son do all the housework. It seems my husband had been telling them a convenient story. I tell father-in-law and mother-in-law the truth. Yes, I've had to lie down because of severe morning sickness. But Robert told me morning sickness isn't an illness. Stop being lazy. So I've been desperately doing housework every day, to the point of nearly collapsing. Father-in-law and mother-in-law's faces turn pale. Robert, what is the meaning of this? Father-in-law confronts my husband, whose body is shaking. Well, that is... Even now, my husband refuses to admit his fault. I've had enough. I decide to expose his greatest flaw. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, your son told me, if you can't do housework, abort the child. What did you say? Is this true, Robert? Father-in-law and mother-in-law are staring at their son, mouth agape in shock. Telling someone to abort the child is unforgivable. I've done my best in my own way. Despite that, Robert never cared about my health or our unborn child. I can't live with someone like that. The collective anger in the room turns towards my husband. Sensing the awkward atmosphere, he nervously chuckles. Okay, I get it. I was wrong. I apologize, alright? So let's just drop it, okay? At that moment, smack. Mother-in-law slaps my husband. What the hell was that for? My husband looks at mother-in-law in surprise. Enough is enough! Do you even realize what a miracle it is to have a child? You berated Patricia while she was suffering from morning sickness, forced her to do housework, and even lied to us. How much more do you need to vilify her? Mother-in-law is yelling at my husband, tears streaming down her face. The intensity leaves me and father-in-law speechless. Then mother-in-law turns to me to apologize. Patricia, I am so sorry. I believed that foolish son of mine and hurt you. You must have had a hard time dealing with morning sickness. I know an apology isn't enough, but I'm truly sorry. Father-in-law also deeply apologizes. Patricia, let me apologize as well. Our foolish son has caused you trouble, and for that, I'm truly sorry. We'll make sure he takes responsibility. Leave the rest to us. Father-in-law then turns to my husband. We're cutting ties with you, Robert. Cutting ties? Yes. A son who can tell his wife to abort the child is not part of our family. Agree to Patricia's divorce. What? We're family! Talking about divorce and cutting ties? You must be out of your mind. Patricia's feelings won't change. Make up your mind. At his father's words, my husband is speechless. He was reluctant to sign the divorce papers, but with father-in-law and mother-in-law's help, he eventually gave in. He was utterly defeated, a shell of his former self. Later, I claimed compensation and child support through a lawyer. I've decided to give birth to our child alone. I've received several texts from my husband since. I was wrong! Please forgive me. I realized you're all I have. Please come back. But I just delete the messages without replying. My husband, now disowned by father-in-law and mother-in-law, seems to be living alone in a neglected, trash-filled house. It's affecting his work, and now the office gossip goes like this. Heard Robert got dumped by his wife. His shirt's all wrinkled, and he hasn't even shaved. And she was pregnant, right? What a loser. He used to be so controlling. My husband is becoming the office joke, losing his standing day by day. I wonder how long his high pride will allow him to endure this environment. Well, it's none of my business anymore. From now on, I want to focus on my unborn child. Even without a father, I intend to shower this child with all the love I have, so they can feel truly happy.